and welcome back to another episode of Catch That, where we get to know music and albums and artists and just everything R&B. We just dig into it. I am Naturally Elise, and that's my bro.
JR.
And today we are welcoming back a special guest by the name of Tamone Bacon, and he works at Sony Music Entertainment, and he is also the co-host of the State of Black Music podcast. Welcome.
What's up, y'all? Good to see y'all again.
Yes. We are very glad to see you again.
Yes, yes, always have a good time with y'all. So this is a pleasure for me.
Yes. And today, well, JR is going to tell you what we're going to be talking about today and why we want to talk about this particular album and this particular artist.
Okay, so Tamone came on and he did a Catch That Minis, and we realized, wait a minute, he's in the music industry. We can't have him just for half an hour. Like, nah, we got to get him for an album to talk about. So we said, yo, pick an album, and he picked Tweet's Southern Hummingbird. Now, Elise and I have been wanting to talk about this album for the longest. You know what I mean? So we wanted to, all right now.
Oops, oh my.
Okay, then.
I like that. So we wanted to talk about Southern Hummingbird for the longest. So when somebody finally picked it, it was like, yes, we can talk in deep about this album. So I'm excited to talk about this album. We're going to get into the songs. We're going to get into what we think about the album, how great we think it is. You know what I'm saying? All that good stuff. And we're just going to get into it. So what I want to start with is, Tamone, when did you first really get into Tweet? Period. Like, when did it start for you getting into her?
Okay, so I remember it being 2001, and I was watching Missy's MTV Cribs, and she was on MTV Cribs a few times, but I feel like it was her first time on there, and I don't know where they was in her house, but they panned to, she was like, "This is my new artist, Tweet." She was playing the guitar and she was singing Motel. We didn't know what the song was at the time.
Oh my God, yes.
Motel. And so I remember hearing her voice like, oh my God, she's amazing. And then, kind of forgot about it. And then that was like maybe the early part of 2001. Fast forward to like maybe fall 2001. Can't remember exactly what month, but by this time we had lost Aaliyah. 9/11 had already happened. And we were I remember just feeling like there was just this paradigm shift, not just in the world, but it just felt different after those two major tragedies. Mm-hmm. And so I remember hearing her on record for the first time on the Takeaway single that Missy put out. I remember the video premiering on 106 in Park, and they took Mila from 702 off. She's on the album version. Mm-hmm. Missy released it as a single and put Tweet on it. And so that was the first time I heard her, and I was like, oh, that's the chick that was on MTV Cribs. Got it. Then heard her for a second time, and this is before we got to her solo stuff. Heard her for a second time on the Timbaland and Magoo single, All Y'all, because they were getting ready to come out with an album after Aaliyah passed. And I remember thinking, like, how are they gonna do this? Like, I remember them dedicating the album to Aaliyah. Aaliyah was on one of the songs, and that's just where my mind goes when I think of that. But I heard her for the first time on those two records. And then like after Christmas, I remember hearing Oops, Oh My for the first time. And I remember like, this is some different shit. Like, what is it? Like, Tim and Missy have done it again. And I remember feeling like, not that they were trying to replace Aaliyah, but they needed a new muse, I guess. That new female muse, because Aaliyah to me was like that one that they could just kind of create new ideas with, even though they kind of had stopped working with her before she, passed. But I was like, you know what, this is dope. And then I remember just kind of waiting until that album came out, and it finally dropped in April of 2002. And I haven't looked back since. Like, I've been a Tweet fanatic for the last 20 years, which is crazy for me to say now. But yeah, that's where I met. That's where I feel like I first heard and fell in love with Tweet for the first time. So,
when I actually was introduced to Tweet is when I heard her on the intro of the Miss E So Addictive album.
Got you.
And I was like, who is this? Because I was like, I know it ain't Missy now. Now we know Missy got, she has that church background, but I was like, that ain't Tweet. And I was like, that ain't Little Mo. And that ain't, Nicole Ray and the girls. Because one thing about Missy, she knows some singers. You know what I mean? And and they sing background for her. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this is somebody new. I don't know this girl. And of course, the liner notes in me was like, who is this girl? And when it was like Charlene Tweet Keys, I'm like, Tweet, okay. I'm going to keep my eye out for her. So then when Ja Rule came out with his album, Pain is Love. Yes, I was a Ja Rule fan, y'all. Don't kill me. But,
like I said about other artists, those albums did not sell themselves. So it was a lot of people that were fans.
That part. So, you're right. Thank you.
All fans of them back in the day.
So stop revisionist. Just because you don't like them now, which is fine not to like them now, but don't front. But anyway, go ahead.
Thank you, sis. Thank you for having my back. Thank you. So they did this on his Pain is Love album. They did a song. It was Missy, Ja, and Tweet, and it was a song called X.
I remember that.
Yes, and Tweet did, and I was like, oh, that's that same girl from the intro of So Addicted. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw the All of Y'all video, like you said. And I saw that and I said, oh, this is a nice brown sister. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay. So then after that, then Oops dropped. Mm-hmm. And it was everywhere. Like if you were from New York, Power 105 wasn't what it was now. Power 105 actually used to be an oldie station, and then they turned it into what it is now. But before then, there was no host, there was nothing. And the two songs that they played all the time was Ashanti's Foolish and Tweet's Oops. That used to be on rotation, and then 106 and Park, it blew up on there, and everybody was playing. When she sung that joint on, I think it was like the Teen Choice Award. When you got them little girls, white girls out there singing Oops, oh my, you got to smash. Like, it's a wrap. And I was like, now when is this album coming out? And when the album came back, I'm like you. I haven't turned back since. I've been a Tweet fan ever since. And I call her the Queen of Harmonies, period. Period.
See,
go ahead.
Oh, see, I didn't have the anticipation. Like, in retrospect, now I do remember her being on the Cribs and stuff, but I wasn't really paying attention that much. It wasn't until Oops, Oh My came out, and then and I got the album like very soon after the single came out, because I really liked the single, and then it was so funny. I got the album, and it didn't sound nothing like the single, but
exactly
at all.
It was amazing. And I'm kind of glad the whole album didn't sound like that, because I like what I got.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was perfect how you summed that up. Like, I do remember feeling like I was gonna get, I guess, a whole album of the sound from Oops, Oh My. But now that I'm in the business and I'm older, I realized that they needed a radio record. They needed a record that was gonna be palatable for the masses.
And them two radio records was Timbaland, and that's how because remember, Call Me got on the was it Verizon commercial, and they played. So I heard that a lot. And actually, if I remember correctly, for the commercial, it wasn't a whole lot of her singing. It was mostly them playing the track, but it was like a little bit, just a teensy bit of her singing, but it was mostly the track.
Yeah. And the thing is, now that you're saying that, like they were really like killing it with the brand deals for her, just for that to be her debut record. Because I remember if you watch her Finding Tweet episode.
Why was I just gonna go there?
She was talking about how Smoking Cigarettes was gonna be like the song for the
second single.
Yeah, it was gonna be like the single, but they were gonna partner with the what was the organization? Jesus.
I forgot. I know exactly. Yeah. She said it was going to be Boogie Tonight and that.
Yeah. And there's a video, like they did the video and everything, but they shelved it and no one's seen it. But as you were saying that, Elise, I'm like, yo, they were really killing it with like the brand deals, and for her to be on her debut album and to get those kind of looks, you know, for that to be her debut record, I think that's dope. I really wish they would have gone the distance with Smoking Cigarettes, only because I feel like when you look up now, first of all, Southern Hummingbird is a cult classic period. But I feel like that's that's everybody's go-to song, Smoking Cigarettes. I really feel like that song probably would have taken the album further than it went, in my opinion.
I think too, they also had with the branding, I think that you know who she was going against. Who did I say? Ashanti. Ashanti had that machine behind her that it was like ridiculous. Because I remember even having an argument with my brother Vernon, and I was like, you know, I'm the R&B guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh no, Tweet about to kill this shit. He was like, nigga, no. He was like, she ain't no. He was like, I know you, I know. Because to be honest with y'all, one of the albums we brought, and then the other album we got bootleg, and Tweet wasn't the one we got on bootleg. So catch that. So, and y'all remember albums used to be expensive back then, $13.99. That wasn't nice. You ain't getting both of them. Somebody gonna get bootleg. So I just remember him saying, yo, Ashanti has so much behind her. She's gonna come in that number one spot. And I was like, nah, like oops is what it is. And everybody, but he like foolish. So I think Sylvia Rhone and all of them saw that and was like, look, we need to put her with these brands like Verizon, and we need to get her with these so we can at least try to get her out there, because Ashanti is literally being pushed like crazy. Like
I do remember.
Too in that.
What was that?
That's true.
Age.
Yeah.
Depending on who they want to push. They want to push 20-something girl, not what was Tweet, like 30 when this dropped?
Yeah, because she was older.
She's like 1,000 years old in the music industry in 2000. You might as well be, which is crazy. Yeah, you're basically a senior citizen in music.
Because I always think back to like when people talk about age, I'm like, Tina Turner was 45 on MTV, killing it with What's Love Got to Do with It.
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin was in her 40s, late 40s, on MTV with, you know, Freeway of Love. I'm like, where did we start? When do we start like telling people that they didn't matter when they became a certain age? I did that always like pisses me off, because I'm like, there are so many older people that have the talent, but they feel like they can't do anything because they're of a certain age.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, speaking of an older group, if they want Babyface Brother, we wouldn't have got no After 7. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's true.
These middle-aged dudes in suits that didn't want to change who they were. Like, if Babyface want their brother, I don't think nobody would have took a chance on them.
And they were urban from the jump.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were letting them know that we ain't putting on what y'all want us to. We gonna wear our suits and ties and deal with it. You know
yeah.
So those people you named, they're an anomaly of older, and you know, also anomaly of you know, a classic legend artist, legacy artist being able to do something in late career.
Yeah.
Right.
It don't happen
Right.
much, period. But especially not in that period of time.
That's true. That's true. It kind of sucks. Damn, yo. It sucks because like a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about that because I was just like, yo, in the 80s, like you said, you had Aretha she came out with that 86 album and was like killing it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and that's like, when did it stop? Because her voice was still fine. Like it was fine. And just like you said, Tina, it was just like, when did it happen? But I think, the industry started being more about the image. And it changed. It wanted to be, and then with MTV coming in, the younger kids want to see younger artists. And I think it trickled down. And after a while, they're not going to promote the older artists. They're going to promote the younger ones. You know what I'm saying? So
Young man's game.
I guess I've always been an old soul. And I
yeah, me
that
too.
shit didn't matter to me, but I guess not everybody thinks the same way. But yeah, I'm just glad that Tweet one did not give up.
Yes.
Because when you hear her story, she was ready to like just end it all. And then she got that call from Missy to come demoing records and stuff like that. And I'm just so glad and so thankful to God that she just kind of, one, Missy gave her that call, and that, two, she did not give up on her dream, because we would not have this masterpiece of an album.
I agree.
So,
I agree. I
yeah.
totally agree. So when you first heard the album, how did it feel? Like, what went through your mind after hearing this amazing body of work?
So I will say 2002 was also a year where my musical palette and ear started to develop and change.
Okay.
I've always loved music, but like Full Moon came out that year. A couple other albums that I flocked to came out that year, but Full Moon was out maybe a month or so before Southern Hummingbird. And I remember in that month's time, because I was expecting from Brandy, I was expecting a certain thing. And then when I heard Oops, Oh My, like I said earlier, I was expecting that sound throughout the whole album. Of course, not the same song, track 1 through 15, but of course, like the same threading throughout the whole record.
Right.
But for some reason, 2002 was a year where my ears just I started to appreciate just, other sounds, other types of music. Yeah, it was just different for me that year. So when I popped the record in, I remember going to Target, getting that album. It was a Saturday. And I came home and I listened to the album. And I remember the first time I heard it, I didn't know if I liked it or not.
Okay.
I didn't know if I liked it or not, because again, I was expecting, I went into it with expectations.
Right.
And I learned that year to not have all these expectations on music like that, because that you'll psych yourself out and you'll hinder yourself from something great if you have all these expectations. So I was like, okay, clearly this girl can sing. Let me just clear my mind out and just kind of go into it, just allowing myself to immerse myself into the album. So when I did that, I kept playing the album over again, and I just fell in love with it. And then Smoking Cigarettes, Always Will, and I got the vinyl, by the way.
Oh, I'm a hater, yo. You got the vinyl, yo.
Best Friend. Like a lot of the ballads on the album is really what drew me in. It's just, and to your point, at least, I'm so glad that we got the album that we got, because I mean, she just shined on the slower records. Best Friend with Bilal, like I've always wanted a full Tweet and Bilal EP or album after that.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Then, Always Will is probably one of my favorite Tweet songs of all time.
Okay.
Wow.
Love Always Will.
Wow.
Yeah,
when I first heard it, I didn't know if I liked it at first, but it grew on me, and then once it grew on me, it was a constant stay in my CD player back then.
Mhm.
The kids will never know CD players.
And you know how people always talk about like what's a great like 3-song run or 4-song run, and to go from My Place to Smoking Cigarettes to Best Friend to Always Will, that's nuts.
Listen, nuts.
That is, oh my gosh. And the way she's singing on but the way she's singing on Always Will, and the way that track comes in, and it's like this, well, the whole album is like this haunting kind of, for the most part, like 80% of this is very haunting melodies, and then of course, like JR said, like the Queen of Harmonies, like the and I was telling JR, because I always talk about how I hate music that's thin. I like thick, packed, that I like stacking and instruments and interesting production and all that, and I get that through this album. There's no thin songs. You know,
I agree.
People can give you some, even great artists sometimes give you some, the ballads can be thin. And like it seemed like only like the mids kind of have a texture, and anything real up tempo or the real slow ballads can a lot of times be thin, and this record don't do that.
It was, and even I would say back then it was uncommon to put a whole bunch of slow records at the top of your album. Usually people would wait until they got to the middle, toward the end of the record, to start kind of introducing the ballads. She came in, I mean, so much to say My Place, Smoking Cigarettes, Best Friend, Always Will. And then we didn't get to an up-tempo record till we got to Boogie Tonight.
You got them 3 up-tempos in the middle, and then it went back to what we was doing.
Exactly. And so I love the sequencing on here. It kind of, at least for me, kind of opened my mind up to albums that, because back then we would skip through songs, and if it didn't catch us in that first 30 seconds to a minute, it's just like, okay, we don't like the album. And this album, Full Moon, and like I said, 2002 was a year that I had to kind of stretch myself musically. Like, all right, Tamone, you're gonna miss out on something if you don't allow yourself to just sit with this record. I'm so glad that I did it. I was like 15 at the time, and evolving as a person, and I'm just like, okay, I'm so glad that I just decided to sit with it. And I think about all the time, like, how many albums that I kind of had to revisit as an adult, which is like, this actually wasn't bad. I was tripping at 13.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad that I convinced myself to sit with the record. And I remember going to college and just connecting with so many people from that album. And I remember being shocked because, as we talked about earlier, Ashanti was the end all be all in 2002. She was overshadowing every female artist. Like, and it was just, I remember April 2002, I bought the CD, and this is back when I would, we would take our CDs to school with our Walkmans or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody had Ashanti. Nobody was rocking with Tweet. Nobody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I crazy? Because I respect Ashanti and the career that she's been able to have. I just never really felt it. Like, I've never owned an Ashanti record. I bought those albums for my sister. Me, on the other hand, Ashanti's never had a place in my music collection, and that's just, it is what it is.
Right.
And I remember feeling like Tweet is the one. Like, why are we not talking about Tweet? I remember being livid at that. And now, fast forward 20 years later, what album do we talk about more?
Southern Hummingbird.
Right. It's become a cult classic for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people had to grow up.
Yeah.
And now that we're grown as hell, we're able to, relate to a lot of the songs. And I think she was ahead of her time with this record. And so I'm glad that people finally caught on. But yeah, I wish she would have gotten some of that same love back then.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, when this album came out, I was a grown-ass 23-year-old woman. And so of course, I'm going to gravitate to the tweet and not the Ashanti. I mean, like I said, Ashanti was more, to me, she was the rap hook girl. And so I appreciated her in that space of, you know, if I go to the club, I hear Ashanti on the hook of the hot records. But if I'm sitting at home and I want to listen to something, and you know, I'm grown with a, you know, with a job. When I go home, you know, I want to sit and listen to that to kind of unwind. I'm gonna drink some wine, or whatever, or that's what I'm gonna play in my car to ease the day, you know, the day. And so, and my peers were listening to that Tweet album and not the Ashanti so much. I mean, you couldn't escape it because she was huge. Of course, you knew the songs, you heard it if you listened to the radio. That's still when people still listen to the radio. Like, so you got that. But like, as far as the album that people bought with my peers, they had the Tweet.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, Simone. For me, when I went to, because I was in high school when this album came, I was 16. So when I go, everybody, you know, because with, you know, I had my, you know, portable CD players. Again, these kids would never know. And I'm going in there and I have like so many, you know, albums that came out around that time. Because again, you had Music Just Listen that came out. You had, you know, Avant Ecstasy that came out. You had all these albums. So I had like all these albums that I had, and I had Ashanti in there. But when I get to school, everybody's like, yo, you heard that Ashanti new joint, and you heard, oh my God, you heard Baby, and you heard Scared, and you heard Call. And I'm like, am I bugging? Have y'all not heard Tweet? Like, I know they like, yeah, we heard Oops, Oh My, but that's all we like. And that's when I started to learn that when people didn't get albums, they would say they didn't like it. It was like, oh, I only like that one song. You're lying. Because if you listen to Southern Hummingbird, you're gonna like more than just one song. Like I will even give you, if you like Call Me, as the commercial single. So I know you lying. That's when I started thinking, oh, motherfuckers ain't buying albums. They just hearing the singles and saying, oh, no, I ain't like the album. I'm like, okay, this is where we're at now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this is nuts. You know what I mean? But and again, maybe this is why we do now, at least, because I was trying to fight people back then, like, y'all listen to this album, what is wrong with y'all? Like, y'all are missing out on these great harmonies. And like Elise said, I love how you said it was like haunting, because when she comes in and opens the album with, you know, so much to say, it was haunting. Like, it came right at you. And it's like, when you heard Tweet's story, when she did find it on BET and she told her story, and when she was telling it, the thing I could think about was so hard to say. Like, I was thinking of that so much, because I'm like, yo, like, she really wanted to be up out of here. Like, after going through what she went through at the basement and dealing with that, and you know what I mean? And she was the last one. Her group was the last to leave. So it was like, I done did this over and over and over again. And then she gets her guardian angel, which is Missy, call her at the time when she's like, I'm about to end it all. You know what I mean? And get the call, and this happens. And then it just slams at you with My Place. Like, the beat just comes in and it's like, doom, 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 doom. Like, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and it's like, this is around the time my whole family is here. So I'm like, we're listening. I'm trying to get albums that I know that everybody will rock with. Because I knew damn well that my family wasn't going to rock to no Ashanti. No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? But they going to be like, no, we're not, no. So I knew, let me get Tweet. And I knew, and my family loved it. Like, when we first heard it, it was like, when you even had my grandparents, like you said, when they heard Best Friend with Bilal and the duet, they was like, yo, wait, who is that guy singing with her? And I'm like, oh, that's Bilal. And I'm like, and we're going down this track listing, and for all of us to love it, I was like, okay, my household love it. So I
Right.
know there's mad
no
households that
yeah.
love it like me. So when I go to school and everybody is like, nah, we ain't with it. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm like, everybody likes it in my household. And that's when, again, when I had to open my eyes again, like, just because people like it in your household don't mean everybody gonna like it outside. You know what I mean?
I bet some of those same people probably love the album now, though.
Absolutely now, because I see on Facebook every time the anniversary comes along, they'll put it up. And I'll be like, but wait a minute, you was the main motherfucker that was saying that you weren't rocking with it. I'm like, you motherfuckers, y'all wait till you get older, but I get it.
People had to grow up, and I feel like that's what's happening with the likes of like a Jasmine Sullivan now. Like, everybody's loving Jasmine Sullivan now. And it's not to say that she wasn't successful 13 years ago.
Right.
But the respect that she's getting now, in my opinion, she should have been getting it from the jump. But I think people had to grow up, people had to mature, people had to experience life in order for them to say, damn, like, she's talking some real shit. And I think it's the same thing with Tweet. Like, smoking cigarettes. I ain't never smoked no cigarettes before, but if you done been through a toxic ass relationship, you know what the hell she talking about. And at 15, I didn't necessarily get it, but I loved how it made me feel.
Right.
Now, I love how it makes me feel, and I can relate to the lyrics. I can relate to what she was writing about and what she was talking about back then. So I just think people have to grow up, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, some people are just ahead of their time, and they just make music that takes a minute for people to get to. So
anytime that I would listen to Smoking Cigarettes, I would always in my mind, and maybe I'll be like, huh? I can always see Shirley Brown singing a song like that after Woman's Woman.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like I can always see her in concert doing that song after she does Woman to Woman, and she got the man because she let the woman know that he's mine. But then she's bugging out over this, and she just starts singing Smoking Cigarettes. I just always saw that.
That's a dope medley though. Like, Tweet, we need you to put Woman to Woman in your show and go into Smoking Cigarettes. That's good. I love that.
Yeah, like I thought about that when I was first listening to the album, and I would sit there and I'm like, I can see Shirley doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I can see her eating this song up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just had that, huh?
Is she still with us?
You know what? I don't even want to lie. I don't even know.
Let me look it up.
Elite's gonna consult the Googles.
I know we lost Denise LaSalle.
Denise LaSalle, yes.
I always think of Shirley Brown and Denise LaSalle in the same for some reason, but
yeah.
She is still with us.
Oh. Then I can see her doing this song.
Wait a minute. No, I think she is still with us.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, she is still with us, 75 years old.
Okay.
Good. So I always thought that when I heard Smoking Cigarettes, I was just like,
I mean, that puts me in the vein. I could hear, as far as those lyrics, and I could hear a Shirley Murdoch. I could hear Betty Wright. I could hear a Millie Jackson. I could all of those. It's that kind of in that vein of just being real raw with it, of just being blunt. Like nigga, think about you, got me smoking like a pack a night. Winston-Salem, Marlboro. I mean, Winston-Salem, Marlboro.
Winston-Salem's Marlboro Light. No matter what. That man.
It got me smoking out on you.
Got me fucking by the pack of night.
Yeah, I did smoke cigarettes, and that was real. That song was real.
Yeah.
It ain't healthy, sis. It ain't healthy.
You said it, you know?
Yeah, so, and like y'all was saying too, y'all said like the track listing in this, y'all know what my honestly, is when it goes from beautiful to heaven. Like, to me, I always feel some type of way after doing those three, from beautiful to complain and then heaven. I'm like, if you want spirituality, you got it right there. Like, right there. Like, after she done cussed the dude out in the motel. You know what I'm saying? Right. She done cussed the dude out. Now she's like, you know what? I gotta love me and I gotta find God. You know what I mean? That's what I felt like. Because I feel like beautiful is such a beautiful song. Sorry, couldn't find another word for it. But I'm like, it's such, and those harmonies, like I call Sweet the queen of harmonies, because she said on Finding BET, where she was like, I didn't see myself as a lead singer. I always seen myself as backgrounds and doing harmonies. And she was like, she felt like, and that's how me and Elise feel, like when the backgrounds make the record to us. So like any part of a background vocals we are paying attention to. And she said she remembered that when she gave, I think when she was doing a demo for Whitney, Whitney was like, well, wait a minute, who is this girl? Like, who is this girl doing these harmonies and runs? Harmony. Yeah, Whitney, because you know Whitney knows some voices now.
No voices,
yeah. So when she heard that, she was like, and that's what Sweet was. And I felt like she was showing off between beautiful, complain, and heaven. She was showing her ass. Like, harmony wise, she was showing her ass. Because I'm like, what she does on the bridge of Beautiful, it was just so relaxing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so relaxing. Like, you just, like you said, sis, you 22 years old. I probably was 16 drinking a glass of wine. Sorry, mom snitching. But, but I'm like, you want to drink a nice glass of wine listening to Sweet. You know what I mean? You don't want that hard shit, like the brown shit. Now, don't get me wrong, smoking cigarettes, that's the brown liquor type of joint. But I'm like, with her voice, it's so soothing. It's so smooth. And that's why I was like, yo, when she did that, it was just like, y'all said, because again, the track listing on here is just amazing. Because like you said, you don't start off with the ballads, and she does. And she gets you then. Because you know, at the end of the day, somebody's going to start an album off with a boom. They're going to knock you out. And it's like, all right, we coming. She was like, I'm gonna come in smooth with my place. You know what I mean? And then go with smoking cigarettes. And like Elise was saying in our interview with Zoe, it felt like this album is so thick. Like, it's so thick. Even Oops, even though, you know, we know that was the commercial single, Oops, it still got a thickness to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still thick.
And it's a commercial single, but it's a very good song.
Yeah,
that part.
Sometimes a commercial single could, you know, you just like, but no, like it's an actual good song that just happened to be catchy, but it's solid.
And it had the people talking too.
Like, a little controversy.
Like everybody was talking about
herself. Is she talking about? Is it this? Is it?
I remember a young lady wanted to sing this song at our high school talent show. And they were going to let her do it. And I remember they came to her like a couple of days before the talent show and was like, you can't sing that song because it's talking about, you know, masturbation. And we were just like, mind you, this is some white teacher. And I'm just like, well, first of all, who went to her and snitched? This lady ain't know nothing about no damn tweet, oops, oh my, and masturbation. Like, come on now. So somebody had to, like, a hater had to go say something. But I just
every other R&B song is talking about sex. Somebody made a song that, it's suggestively referring to masturbation, but you could talk about fucking. Like what? Just make it make sense.
Exactly.
I know rules are rules, but if they don't make sense, then get out my face. Like
Exactly.
But Sweet said, like, I remember her doing so many interviews talking about it. I remember when she was on what was it, Direct Effect. That's what it was. Direct Effect. Yes, Direct Effect with Lala. And I remember she did an interview with DJ Clue. And I remember he was like, is the song about masturbation? And she like, no, it's about self-love. And she said she wasn't comfortable in who she was. And and she was watching the thing on Oprah, she said, and it was just like she was looking at herself and starting to feel comfortable, like, yo, I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, with everything there, I'm good. But again, she said Devontae and them taught them how to kind of make the song work. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, of course, somebody listens to it, the first thing they're going to think about, oh, she's talking about masturbation. Oh, and it gets out and of course it helps the song. Controversy helps.
Well, she could say what she want to say, and maybe that is what she wrote, but that's what that song is about to me, and it always will be, and the lyrics reflect it to me. She could say whatever she want, and maybe it's the truth, but it ain't my truth.
And there you have it.
But masturbation.
Missy said her part.
But masturbation is self-love, so I took it as
that part. You ain't lying, girl. That part.
Better if you touch yourself sometimes. That's
right. And I
do mean literally.
That will keep you out of a bunch of foolishness, okay?
That part, Tamone, it will keep.
Sometimes you gotta go there so you can clink clank, as Medea would say.
Love yourself, literally.
Yeah.
That's some good old self-love. Amen.
Y'all know I'm all about sex positivity, self-love.
Yes. Yes, God. Yes, God. So yeah. So I think my favorite song actually on the album, if we can go and talk about our favorites, mine has to be Complain. That has to be literally my favorite song on the album because I feel like that was her version of I Won't Complain. But in a nutshell, it's like, one thing that I love about our R&B artists, they knew how to make inspirational but not be too gospel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we knew how to make it inspirational, and I think she did that. You know what I'm saying? And even when she's like, when we in church and she's like, and you feel it, and she's like, even want to watch your favorite sport or something, then I won't complain. And then she come back again, and then she like, I won't complain. And it's like, I felt like that right there to me was like her gospel spiritual moment. And then you come back with Heaven. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So right then and there, I like Complain. It brings tears to my eyes every time I listen to it. Like every time I listen to Complain, because it makes me think about when all my family was here. You know what I mean? And that part when she said I could, even when my friends are dead and gone, leaving me here alone, could I depend on some spirit to ease me with my soul on its own? And that right then and there makes me think about, damn, it's just me, my mom, and my uncle left. Wow. Everybody else is gone. You know what I mean? And I always think about when I first heard the song, I was looking around me and all my family was here. You know what I mean? And it's just like now when I listen to it now, I'm like, damn, they ain't here no more, but goddamn it, I'm gonna get a drink for them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it brings me there, and it just that Complain, and then it goes right into Heaven, and it like after I'm tearing and snot and all that and feeling it, it's like it goes to heaven, and it's just like it makes me smile. That's why I love Beautiful can play in heaven, because then and there it's kind of like I had that moment with damn, my family's not here anymore, but then I'm like, they all right. They up there. They doing better than me. No bills, no job, no nothing. They got work about nothing. They up in heaven doing all right. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. And that's why I love Complain so much. And then Best Friend. Because me and my mom sing it off key and we're ridiculous with it. Oh my God. Me and her go back and forth because I'll be like, wow, you're Tweet. And then I start singing Tweet part, and she like, no, you're Bilal. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I love that. About Best Friend is when the album was first out, I didn't like it then. Like when it first came out, I used to always
the only one I heard that from.
But now, and maybe like a few years after it came out, it was a favorite for a while. My favorites changed on this album. As y'all know, like I'm usually very rigid. Like, no, this is my song. It is my song for now. You know, with a lot of my artists, I'd be like, and it ain't even clowns. But like,
I was about to do it. Damn you!
I'm nothing if not self-aware. But like, but yeah, but at first I didn't like, which didn't make sense because I was such a huge Bilal fan. So I don't know why I was so averse to that song.
And that bridge didn't get you at first?
No, I mean not at first. It eventually I was just like, oh gosh, this is my shit. But I think I just didn't really give it a chance. I don't think I really sat with it, period, you know? Because I'd be like, that's CDs, time of CDs.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've already said what my favorite song is. Always will, to this day. That when the way that it comes in,
yes,
and then she starts off so soft, then she works her way up to that hook, where she says, "We could be on separate planets, Mars and Venus, heart to heart."
That part.
I mean, it's just the lyrics. And at the time, I understood what she was talking about, but I couldn't really relate to it because I wasn't feeling that way about nobody.
That part.
But fast forward to 2022, I done been in a couple things, you know, and I get where she's coming from. And it has a whole, like, it still makes me feel the way that it made me feel at 15, 16. But now at 35, I'm like, for this song to still give me those chills, that as Clive Davis would say, that proverbial chill down my spine, it's a timeless record. Like, it's just so soft, so chill. It's the perfect song to kind of cap off that first section of the album. And then it goes into Boogie Tonight. But it's my favorite Tweet song from this album. And when we go into the second Tweet album, I got some favorites on there too, but we ain't talking about that one tonight. But
that's the one Sis got. Yeah.
Now, a song that was my favorite for a long time, and sometimes, and like I said, it's every time I listen to it, it's kind of a new favorite. Beautiful, like especially the bridge of it. Oh my God!
Oh my!
The bridge of every song on here, even the up tempos, are just
I can't get caught up when I see you. Yeah, man.
And you know, and y'all were talking about like we were talking about smoking cigarettes and always will. Can we give it up to Jubu Smith on the guitar? Because he was down with Tony. He played with Tony. He done played stuff for Alicia Keys. He is like, yo, he's and the freaking guitar, you could tell Tweet loves guitars.
Yeah.
Period. Because the guitars on this album is the star of the story. Like, for real, like, the guitars are it. And that's why I know Elise loves this album, because she's the guitar girl. Because the guitar, even on the up tempos, like Boogie Tonight, the guitar shining. Like, oh, yes.
Yes.
I thought that, I wish that would have been a bigger, being that it was a single.
I always, when I first heard Boogie Tonight, I said, this needs to be a single with her in the skating ring and they getting it in. I always thought that.
Ready? I don't think you're ready. I guess they won't. She said, "Are you ready?" She didn't. They won't ready.
Yeah, I know you're ready. Like,
ready, 'cause I am.
I got y'all.
Yeah.
Let me wet my throat. Get 2 or 3. Whatever you're drinking, y'all, it's on me.
Love it. I love this.
Love it, y'all.
My glass is empty.
Yeah.
That was the last.
Refill?
That was the last of the wine that I had too. Shout out to all.
So it's like, y'all, I got a question for y'all too, because speaking of singles, I'm not the biggest fan of Call Me. Never been the biggest fan of it. When I heard it, I get it. And when she did her Find the BET, now it makes sense. It was the last song recorded, and they was like, yo, we need another up-tempo. And I said, well, now wait a minute now. We got up-tempos. We got Boogie Tonight. We got Make Your Move. Y'all got up-tempos. And I was like, now the first single obviously was Oops. You heard it, you knew it, right? I always feel like the second single is always what the album is.
Yeah.
What the vibe of the album is gonna be. So for me, I always thought My Place could have been a single.
Yeah.
Because the way it still has that like thump to it.
Yeah.
But it still is the mood of what Southern Hummingbird was.
Yeah.
I always wanted My Place to be that second single. Like, it was like She Got You with Oops. It was like, we're in there. This is the big radio hit. Everybody's now like, who is this girl Tweet? We want to go buy the album. Now for a second single, I was like, come on with My Place, because it still got that, like, it still got a nice little thing to it. And I felt like it was the mood of the album for me. That's why I always felt like Call Me to me was like,
I think they was
really
scared. I think they was trying to be safe. I think that was a scared move. I think they didn't want to go out on the limb, so they was like, well, we'll put the other track out that's by who's hot like fish grease,
right.
And we'll put it out because that's safe to put a Timbaland song out.
Yeah, because I just like,
that's exactly why. And they had already had it, on a commercial, so it made it made more marketing sense. They didn't go out on a limb. They stayed safe with it.
Yeah.
I wish back then, because now we can look and see what the people are reacting to via streaming, right? So I just feel like back then, and I'm from little old Macon, Georgia, so I'm just talking from what I remember being in school, family, and all that stuff back then. But the people who I was around that heard the album, everybody always flocked to Smoking Cigarettes. It was one of the, Oops Oh My was a gotcha record. Mm-hmm. But to me, Smoking Cigarettes was another gotcha record, because it was like, okay, she talking about smoking cigarettes. Like, it's typically for women, it's like, that's not cute for women to smoke cigarettes. And it's like, she really going there talking about how she's going ape shit for this guy and she's smoking cigarettes. Like, and so I feel like because that was a song like that was organically starting to catch on and people were paying attention to that particular song, I felt like that song could have been a really you know, not a huge. I mean, it probably could have crossed over to
It could have.
Hot 100, but I feel like at least it would have been a top 10 R&B record for her. Had
And
they,
like,
And they like hesitated because it was the promo single. Like you can get there's 12 inches of it out there because it was the promo single.
yeah.
and I'm like, with all the branding that they was doing around Tweet, they could have branded this and gave it to some cigarette companies. Like, you could have made this work. Like, you knew Tweet wanted it to be a single because when she was on the Parkers, what did she perform? She did Oops and she did Smoking Cigarettes.
Well, now as you say that, JR, they probably pulled back on it because I think that's when a lot of the cigarette legislation and a lot of big court cases and lawsuits was going on.
Oh.
The end of the 90s and the early 2000s is when those big class action. So I wonder if maybe that's why they kind of pumped the brakes on it. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, shit. And then in that case, then I would have went with Boogie Tonight then. I feel like, again, it has that thickness of what Southern Hummingbird was all about. And you can get a dope video and really push it and get behind it, and it will work because as we can see, as much as Call Me was all over the place, did it peak? I don't think it peaked outside of like 50 or something.
It didn't really do as well as Oops Oh My, I don't think.
Right. Like, it really didn't do too much, which kind of
it went to 31 and 9 on R&B.
And 31 on Hot 100. And that was because Verizon was behind it. So you saw the commercial and, you know, people were getting it then. But I think it really kind of messed up the flow of the album because by then, everybody had the album. And like you said, Tamone, everybody was loving Smoking Cigarettes. Everybody is like, well, Oops Oh My really ain't the vibe of the album. You got us. But now we want these other singles. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I wanted this album to really sell, and I lost a lot of money because I went for it with me and my brother, and he was right with the whole Ashanti thing. And I was like, no, this is the R&B girl. She can sing her face off. Everybody's gonna rock to it. I'm like, we need this right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is needed. And I'm thinking everybody's gonna flock to it. And the album went gold. Yeah. And Ashanti went gold in the first damn week. Like, it was like, I lost. You know what I mean? And I was fighting for it too, yo. Like, listen to this. Go listen to Tweet. I'm telling you, you're going to like it. And it's like, people was looking at me like I'm a drunk. No. And she got the song wrong, but yeah.
Do you think if they would have had a smaller first single and Oops would have been the second one that got you, and then it still would have been a song out there that people, I don't know.
I think Tweet is just downright soul. She's downright soul. So I think
if your first single is so big and then it's hard to go up from there sometimes.
That's true, but I think you needed a single like that for you to pay attention to Tweet.
Yeah.
Because any of these other songs you would have brought out, like, sis, remember when we said we was doing our confession show, right? And remember they wanted Burn to be the first single on the album. We said, oh, that would have ruined Confessions. Yeah. It would have ruined the rollout. It'll ruin everything, even though it goes with what the album is about. But you needed that to get you.
Okay. Yeah.
And really, good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like you needed Tweet to give you Oops Oh My. It was huge. Then it was like, all right, we got you. It's going to make us go get this album. And we get it. And y'all, I think if I can say for all three of us, when you think about Southern Hummingbird, Oops ain't even the first song you're thinking about.
It's not.
No. Like, I'm not thinking about Oops. Like, even when it plays now, I'll be like, okay. Like, it's like, okay, cool. It's not like I've got to hear Oops. No, I can be like, I can go right from Boogie Tonight to Make Your Move. I don't need to hear it because as much as they played it and they ran it, oh my God, it was everywhere. That's when you know you got a huge first single when it's played everywhere. You got white, black, green, yellow, everybody singing the hook to this song. When she could put, because she performed it at the Soul, what was it?
That was Soul Train.
It was a Soul Train. They
that.
rocked with her. Like everybody was up there rocking to her with Oops Oh My. That was like, she can put the mic out and be like, yeah, y'all sing. Like you knew you had a banger there. And I think when you talk about 2002, you got to talk about Oops. Like if you don't, there's something wrong. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think you needed Oops as the single to get you. Because I think this album to me was just so good, but it was like you needed that commercial single, and Oops is what did it. Because I think if we would have went with any other single, it would have just, I think you wouldn't have paid attention to Tweet too much. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm like, and like she said, I'm thankful for Oops. I'm thankful for it, but it's not what the album is about when you think of Southern Hummingbird. You're not thinking about Oops. But Tweet, again, is that soulful girl to me. Like, she's just down, flat-footed, soulful girl. You know what I mean? And this album really gets that. You know what I mean? And somebody that's a drinker, yes. Okay? Drunk. Close your mouth, Elise. Don't start. Don't start. But Drunk, I always thought was like the sequel to the intro because it was her story. I always thought that Drunk was like the that to the intro, because we all know what she said. She didn't have no money. She was broke. She was depressed. All that. And she said in Drunk, broke and alone, nowhere to go to, and the loneliness is killing me. Like, she's telling her story through that. So hell, even Drunk could have been the damn intro if you wanted it to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, and it's just like every one of these songs, like y'all said, the track listing is just amazing. Like, it's just a flow. You know what I mean? Because there's some albums you be like, now, who did these track listing now? I need to holler at whoever was the A&R for this. You know what I mean?
You can definitely tell that they sat down and said, gotta make sure these songs, one song has to make sense next to the other song. Like, yeah. So I love the fact, to our point earlier, I love the fact that they started it off with just all these slow records. Because I'm a sappy ballad lover anyway. So that was kind of like, I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, but now that I'm older, I'm like, I probably gravitated toward it because of those slow records. And I've always loved ballads and slow songs and Quiet Storm-esque type records and all that stuff. So yeah. It's such an amazing album. I really want Tweet to, like, what would be dope is if she did like a little tour or whatever, like just celebrating the anniversary and just like performing the whole album. I would love to hear that.
Oh, that would be so dope.
I would love to hear that. And sprinkle some songs from her other albums in there, but let Southern Hummingbird be the focus of the show.
And then she go from all the Charlene for me too, because that's my shit.
Oh yeah, I love Charlene too.
Charlene.
Oh my God, yes.
Charlene was a great record.
It was a great record.
I mean, it's solid, but that Charlene, boy, that thing, I love it. But like, yeah.
She's 3 for 3 for me.
Yeah.
Like,
to me.
And I would love to hear what because I'm hearing that she's working on a new record, and I just Tweet, come on back to us, please.
Yeah. Oh, please. Now I always be.
Oh yeah.
I like that. So I always be petty, right? So if there's now, watch it again. Don't start. All right. So if there was a song that you had to take off, you can't say oops and you can't say call me, what would it be? If you had to take one song off of Southern Hummingbird and it can't be the singles, what would it be? Not saying, and y'all, before we get the crazy comments, it's not a bad song. We're just saying if you had to take one off, what would it be?
You already know mine because I told you earlier, I think.
Yes, and yeah, that's why I went this way, because we got to discuss this.
But it's other case. It's not that I don't like the song, because there is not a song on the album that I dislike,
right.
Including those singles. I still love those singles. And I ain't like it. I think Call Me is great because I like the harmonies on it. But anyway.
What's the song that you would take off, Elise?
Make Your Move.
Oh yeah, okay. Can I can do without 16 and 17. The sexual healing. And Big Spender. I can do without those songs.
Big Spender, yeah, and Moose Part 2. Yeah.
Love you, Missy, but I can do without Big Spender. I never understood.
I never got it.
Putting one of her songs. Because I'm like, Missy was it wasn't like we were getting to know Missy for the first time. So I'm like, why are we putting this song on there? Like, she already got Miss E So Addictive out at the time. So I'm like, why this didn't go on that album? Like, why are we putting an extra Missy song on a Tweet album? But I could have did without those two songs. I let it play, but I don't really get up on those two.
I mean, at the end, I can just cut it off.
He's always good for that. You know what song I could actually do without Motel?
No.
You gotta have that though.
You gotta have
to. I get it. But for me, it's like I love Make Your Move. I love that record. Like, I love it. But if I had to, it would be Motel, because like I told Elise earlier, the quality, I love it. But to me, it's just like, okay, I get it. I get the, because Tweet singing her ass off, she like telling that nigga to go to hell. Like, that's kind of like what Mary did on Set Me Free. Like, for real, like, nigga, bye. Like, we done. But I'm so ready to hear Beautiful. It's like, for me, I'm like, Make Your Move, which I'm like, but y'all gonna find this weird, but the part that I do like on Hotel is the part that whoever's playing piano, I don't know if it's Tweet, I don't know who it is, but they mess up at like it was like at the 130 point of the song. Mm-hmm. You could tell they messed up and they kept it in there. I like when stuff is messed up and they keep it in there. Like when we did our thing with Kamani and The Love I Lost, and Teddy is singing, but he cracks. And they kept it in there, the rawness. But again, I could do it out the song, but I still want to hear that mess up because it's raw. I'm weird, I know it, but yeah.
That's not weird.
I'm weird, but like, yeah, I know my mother's gonna be like, how the hell you don't like Mo? Like, crazy. Like, I know when she see this, I'm gonna get the text like, for real, like Motel, like, you gotta be kidding. I'm like, I don't have to. I'm ready for Beautiful, but it's not a bad song, y'all. I say that again.
It ain't a bad song on the album.
No, it's not.
Song on the album. Like, they're all good. It's just, some things you just like more than others. But I don't think it's even a alright song on there. Like,
that's what you call a body of work. This
work.
album was an amazing body of work. You know what I mean? And we got it. You better. We got it. It was like me and Tamone got it in high school. You got it at 22. Like, 23, I'm sorry. But we got it because I guess It's the soul in us, y'all. We understood the soul of it. We understood the feeling because again, I wasn't feeling no like songs like that, you know what I'm saying? But it was the soul of it that I was loving so much that I was just like, I gotta play this. My family gotta play it. This is CDs that we must take on family trips with us. Yep. You know what I mean? And it's not no up tempo where we up in there partying. It's so relaxing, but we still grooving to it. You know what I'm saying? Because when Boogie Tonight come on, all of us is like, oh shit, like okay, like you know what I'm saying, like you know what I mean. I'm ready to get up. Mom's is ready to get up. My grandfather, we all boogieing, again, but we boogieing. So you know what I mean. So it's just this is just amazing body of work, and I was just so glad, Tamone, that you picked this record because nobody picked it. Nobody. And we were
like it's 20 years and I like the fact that we're talking about this album 20 years later really blows my mind because I'm like, I was really 15 when this record came out. But like I just, you know, we've covered Full Moon, we've covered, I feel like it's R&B was like 2002 was, all things considered, R&B was a good year for R&B. And
yes, it was. It absolutely was.
You know, just this album just deserves to be talked about and talked about and talked about and talked about. And now, and I'm glad that now it's become such a cult classic and people get it now as you know, 30 plus, you know, year olds now. We get it, you know what I'm saying? I really wish that we would have gotten it back then, the way that we do it now, because maybe, you know, we would have went on, we would have gone on to, you know, do more, but I'm just glad that we still have her with us because, you know, we had a medical scare with her a few years back or whatever. I just thank God for Tweet. Because I mean, like I said, she's 3 for 3. She makes amazing music. Her voice is amazing. And she's so needed still.
I agree.
So, Tweet, if you're watching this, we love you. And whenever I see her again, I got to get her to sign this. So,
yes. Yes. Yeah.
On that note, we are at one of my favorite parts of the show. And that is really, JR. I'm looking for a new co-host. Are you?
I know you was gonna see me. I tried to be slick with it. I tried.
I see all.
Everything.
My favorite part of the show is our word song association. So I'm going to give you 5 different albums that came out in 2002. You tell me either the first song, thought, or memory that comes to mind when I say it. Just the first thing.
Okay.
No wrong answers, unless I don't like it. Okay.
You see, Patty.
Not true. All right. We're going to start off with who we talked about through the episode, Ashanti.
What do I think of when I just remember her coming out with Always on Time, and I actually liked that song. And then when the record, when Foolish came out, I just remember not really like feeling like I was crazy because everybody loved it and I didn't. So that's my memory. Like I remember feeling like my ear must be off. Something must be kind of off because I don't see it. And now that I've gotten older, I understand from a business standpoint. And I mean, I've seen her live and she has an amazing show and she knocks you over the head with the hits. You honestly forget how many hits that girl has had.
The impact she had. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I get it now, but at 15, 16, I'm like, they're force feeding Ashanti to us and I didn't like it. So yeah.
Especially with Baby, Baby, Baby. I was like, I'm over it.
So generic.
My God, yes. Ugh.
Yeah, but that's what I remember.
Right. 2002, we had Avant with Ecstasy.
Ooh. No, you didn't.
Wow. Avant Ecstasy. You know what? His albums kind of run together for me for some reason. Was that the cover with the brown?
Mm-hmm.
And that had like that was that the one that had Read Your Mind? And
No, that Making Good Love.
Making Good Love, got you. Okay, so Making Good Love, I remember my Aunt Sherry loving that song back then. That's where my mind goes. And I grew up singing, and so she thought every male song I was supposed to learn and sing for the family. I'm like, I'm not walking around here talking about in front of the aunties and my mama talking about making good love all night. Like, we're not doing that. You're gonna sing this good Kenny Lattimore ballad, and I'm gonna sit on down. You're not doing making good love in front of grandma. Come on now. I'm not doing that. Love you, Auntie Sherry. But yeah.
All right. 2002 was NDRE's second album, Voyage to India.
Oh, I remember buying that album from Target. And I think I might have gotten Justin Timberlake's Justified the same day, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
And Justin Timberlake was the jam back then, y'all. Sorry.
I ain't even gonna stunt. Yeah, he was. It was cute then.
But just like you said, Ashanti, where you never got it and you never understood it, that was mine. To this day, I still don't understand the phenomenon. I just don't understand it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate Justin Timberlake, but I just, when you mature and you understand the privilege that he's been able to
exactly
offer,
that's it.
It makes you not even want to listen to the music. So
that's what
it is. But I remember buying, it was NDRE, Justin Timberlake, and The Best of Anita Baker, because that her greatest hits record had come out that year. And so I bought all three of them that day. And I remember falling in love with what was the song on that? Was Beautiful Surprise on that album?
It definitely was.
It definitely is.
Which is not only one of my favorite indie. It is my favorite NDRE song, but it is one of my favorite songs ever.
Yeah. Beautiful Surprise and Can I Walk With You were like my two. Ooh, yeah. And I remember playing it at a family function just as people were coming in, because I was always the one, and y'all could probably relate to this. Like, I was always the one, all right, Tamone, you got the music. And so I'm like, okay, let me play something as people are fixing they play, just something to kind of keep the vibe going. And I put on NDRE. Boys, and I remember my Aunt Stacy talking about, what the hell is this? Well, we at some type of African such and such. I'm just like, I need you to like expand your musical palette, please. But that's what comes to mind when I think of that record.
Yeah. Right. Music Soul Child, Just Listen.
Okay, so I remember getting that the first day it came out, because we all were talking about it at school. And I remember he had the different color covers.
Yes.
So like
the purple one,
the blue one. I remember
the red,
that. Like red, orangey color. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the CD was like the record. It had the black with the white thing on it. And I remember being introduced to
it came out on my birthday.
What date is that? What was
May
that?
7th.
May 7th.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was the end of the school year. And I remember being introduced to that Beatles song because of him through that album. Something in the way she.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yes, that was the last song on the album too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. And my favorite release, and it just barely beat out Tweet of 2002, A. Marie, All I Have.
Listen.
Why I saved it for last.
That record, what can I say? I remember it being the summer of 2002.
The day after my birthday. Yes, God.
And
It sure was.
I went back to school. That was leading into that was 2002. So that was leading into my sophomore year in high school. And I remember, by then I was starting to kind of like build my reputation as like the person, okay, if Tamone said it's hot, then we might need to check it out, that kind of thing. Like people would say, all right, Tamone, what you think about such and such and such? Yeah. So I remember going to school and was like, because Why Don't We Fall in Love was all over the radio by the time. And I'm like, y'all need to get this Amerie record. And people really didn't get it because her voice was different. And I think people were kind of like, oh, we don't know how we feel about that. But I'm like, the whole album, like, if you love Why Don't We Fall in Love? Now, that was an album to me where the single was indicative of what you got on the full record. But it wasn't repetitive. And so I remember buying the album and listening to it for the first time and got to be there to this day. When I tell you that shit in the car,
listen,
it knocks me out every time. Like, and so I remember going to school, telling my friend Jessica, shout out to Jessica. She's a whole attorney now, but I remember telling her, like, you need to get this record. You need to get this record. She was like, okay, I'm gonna go buy it. Just because you said it's dope. She came back to school the next day. She was like, y'all, Tamone one line. This record, and to this day, whenever I communicate with her, she always said, I remember you told me about that Amerie album back in the day. So that's what comes to mind when I think of Amerie, All I Have. But that's still one of my favorite albums. Like, and it was a to the point. I call it a to the point album. It wasn't a whole bunch of fluff. It was tracks 1 through 12. The interludes were dope. Like her and Rich Harrison had such an amazing chemistry, and I'm so glad we have that album. So glad we have that album.
And my favorite on the album, and I think it's the song that JR probably would take off. I think I recall is Float.
Well,
it's not really your jam.
Oh no, I like Float.
But I just love that the piano. Like that piano is just going dumb. Just
you know what you told me, sis, too, about, and she made me think about it. Listen to, and she said, bro, listen to Got to Be There and listen to Crazy in Love. It's the same.
Yeah.
And when I listened to it, I said, well, goddamn. I was like, oh, shit. Like, I never put that together. And she was like, because Got to Be There, I love that record. Like, oh, my God. Like, that shit in my car knocks. To this day. And I remember telling sis, I was like, yo, I think I was telling her I was coming from work and I was like, yo, I was blasting Got to Be There. She was like, that ain't nothing, but, if you listen to Crazy in Love, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
I was like, you really? She was like, go listen to it and call me back. And I went,
if you know
you're
how
right.
If you know how many times I do that to him, we be so saying, I'm like, just listen to it. Or he'd be like, I don't really like that. And I'm like, you don't have to like it, but just go listen to it and tell me if you don't have a different appreciation for it. And he'd be like,
and every time I call, I'll be like, you were right. And I'm like, oh my God, yo, like, that whole album, like you said, yo, I'm gonna listen to that album tonight. Thank you. Thanks a lot, y'all.
20 years. That is crazy to me. 20 freaking years. Wow.
Can you believe that? 20 years. This is crazy. Like,
my whole family loves Amerie. Like, we all still, at least that first album, I still love Touch too. Touch was a good album to me. But it had nothing on All I Have. Like,
oh no.
All I Have was,
I do like Touch though, but like you said, it's no All I Have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a solid record though. Yeah.
I just remember the green, the seat. Like, I just remember the whole marketing off of the album. I remember her going on 106 and Park and saying, and this is what made me buy the album. She was like, if you love Why Don't We Fall in Love, then you'll like my whole album. I was just like, got it. I'm gonna go get this record today. And it was like $7.99. Her album was like super cheap for it. You know, I'm going to Best Buy and getting it. And I remember the first time I heard Amerie was on Music Choice.
Oh, yes.
Music Choice. And I didn't know who it was. And then of course at the end of the song, it kind of just came up like Amerie. And I was like, ooh, Amerie, who is that? And then I saw the video on, was it 106 & Park? It was like a new joint of the day or something like that on 106 & Park.
Yeah.
And I ain't looked back ever since.
Oh my God. New joint of the day on 106 & Park. That's crazy.
It was like, it's a new artist, Amerie, Columbia Records, yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
All that.
Because if any of these kids, when we talk about our 2000 album, we talk about LimeWire and all that. And if you got the I Just Died on LimeWire, you can hear DJ Envy saying, new girl, Columbia Records, Amerie, new chick, like, yo, like, oh my God, this is really too, oh my God, I'm old as crap. Oh God. Oh my God. Yep. These albums are turning 20. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, but yeah.
Thank you for talking with us about this.
Listen,
this was epic.
I have so much fun doing this with y'all. Like, this is my kind of carrying on for real. I can do this all night long.
I can with us, we could. Especially an album like this.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, how about you tell us if you have anything going on and how people can get in contact with you or find you?
As you said in the beginning, I am a co-host on the State of Black Music podcast, which not only features myself, but songwriter and producer extraordinaires Claude Kelly and Chuck Harmony, as well as executive extraordinaire Phil Thornton. So we just started our third season, and we have a great episode coming out in a couple weeks around down the summer. So be on the lookout for that. You can listen to that wherever you listen to your podcasts. And yeah, just that's pretty much what I have going on. You can find me on Twitter. It's Tamone. Instagram, it's Tamone. I'm not always on Facebook, and that's for a reason. But if you want to find me on there, Tamone.
Oh, I hear you now.
Yeah. And I have a TikTok account as well, but I only use that to be nosy and look at other people's videos.
Me too.
So it's just becoming too much. I'm getting to that stage in life where I'm just like, I don't care about all this extra stuff. Like I'm gonna do the bare minimum when it comes to social media. So Twitter and Instagram is where you'll find me the most. So
yep, we're getting to that age. Yep.
Yeah, because I'm like, yo, all these new platforms coming out.
Listen,
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all for just inviting me to come on. I don't want this to be the last time.
Oh yeah, you got to come back and pick another good album now. What?
I can talk about this stuff all night long. So.
Oh, this was such an honor. Honor.
No, this was an honor for me. So I appreciate y'all for real.
Mm-hmm. And we also appreciate the audience for checking us out. If you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and see what else we got popping, and share it with your folks, with your network, and especially if they are R&B lovers, even if they're especially the R&B lovers, they're gonna love us.
Yes.
And also, make sure that you check out our Catch That mini fan episodes as well as the full episodes. They're just really fun if you just want to pop in and hear about just one song, as opposed to sit and talk, about an album and just, some good nostalgia, a lot of fun, foolish. Yes. And you will learn a lot, because I learn a lot on the show, and it's half my show, and I still learn something every
Yeah.
So we appreciate y'all, and we will catch y'all on the next Catch That. Peace.